Binge the full week of The Ray Taylor Show ad-free over at inspireddisorder.com/plus.
What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
8-Bit Christmas is the movie I'm talking about today. It's on HBO Max. I believe it's an HBO Max exclusive Christmas movie, family movie, narrated by Neil Patrick Harris. I guess it's him. Neil Patrick Harris is playing I believe a single father, and he's telling his daughter the story of how he got his Nintendo system. They're going to his parents for Christmas, and she doesn't have a cell phone. She's crying about not having a cell phone, having to be bored, nothing to do. He's like, check out my Nintendo that I got. This is an epic story of how I got it. And that's what the movie is, along with Neil Patrick Harris narrating the film of this, fun kid adventure Christmas movie. I enjoyed it. The worst part of this movie for me, despite the fact that I'm a Neil Patrick Harris fan, the narration was just too much. It's kind of like has the Princess Bride vibes. As far as, the whole telling the kid a story, and then it kind of cuts back and forth from the story and then him telling the story and having little back and forth with his daughter. Which I like those moments. It all comes together at the end. I just felt like when we were in the story that he was telling, every time the narration would come up would just take me out. I wanted to see these kids in this story do their thing without having Neil Patrick Harris narrating over the top of it. But other than that, I was really surprised at how much I like this movie. The kids in this movie are amazing. They're all the casting is great. They all have very unique personalities. The way the acting is they're turning it up. They're turning it up a notch, and it works, I think. The lead kid, the one that plays the young Neil Patrick Harris, which the story he's telling takes place in the late 80s, is Winslow Fegley, plays Jake Doyle, the young Jake Doyle. Steve Zahn plays his dad, John Doyle, who's great. Steve Zahn plays a great dad, I think. As far as between the two dads in this movie, Neil Patrick Harris and Steve Zahn, I kind of like Steve Zahn. This Neil Patrick Harris is great, but his voice, and I just got done watching the Harold and Kumar franchise, which has Neil Patrick Harris all over it, so maybe the fact that I've seen that version of Neil Patrick Harris in stories recently maybe throws off the fact that he's supposed to be playing this wholesome dad. But overall, I really enjoyed it. I mean, the story's great. Obviously, the nostalgia of being excited about a Nintendo. They have the rich kid of the neighborhood who has a Nintendo and invites 10 people at a time to come in and hang out with them. And, of course, he's the biggest jerk, this rich kid who plays the light gun games, if you're doing Duck Hunt. He's the kid that went up to the screen and pressed the barrel to the screen to shoot the different animals. Just no problem cheating on every level. And it's just, that kind of annoying person is this rich kid. And they're tired of it and they want to get their own. A little over 4 years ago, I started The Many Faces. It's an ongoing series of abstract ink portraits. Each piece is improvised. Each piece is released daily. Start collecting now. Head on over to inspireddisorder.com/TMF. That stands for The Many Faces. And save yourself 25% when you use coupon code RTS. That stands for The Ray Taylor Show, because that's what you're listening to, and I love you. So I want you to save 25% when you use that coupon code. Head on over to inspireddisorder.com/TMF and use coupon code RTS to save 25% when you start collecting one of over 1,600 original ink paintings. By myself, I made them. Support me. I love you. Back to the show. So there's like this whole thing where they think like the Cub Scouts or whatever have this like prize giveaway. If you know, the whole thing that happened in the 80s where you went and sold stuff door to door, you know, it's usually for schools, you know, fundraisers. You go, you know, door to door selling, like you have these pamphlets of like gift wrap and cookies and stuff. And you just like, as a child, going to every house in your neighborhood unsupervised, just like knocking on random people's doors, asking them for money. Kind of a weird thing that does not happen at all in today's like reality. Kind of fun to like dip back into those days through this movie. So they try to get this prize, which ended up being a bait and switch because the prize wasn't the prize. There's a lot of like misdirects with this movie, where you think he's going to, or he thinks, the audience thinks, everybody thinks he's getting this Nintendo, and it's like, nope, not today, Johnny. Is that his John? Jake. Not today, Jake. But it's great. It's like these group of kids that are like, you know, this ragtag group of kids trying to find a way to like, and their like big thing is like, oh, I know how we'll do it, right? They have this big heist type scene, set piece planned of like, they're going to go on a field trip to downtown Chicago. And that's the only place you'll be able to buy a Nintendo because, of course, there's parents that are protesting video games, as you know, conservative parents are one to do, to censor art because they feel like it influences life. So because of the parents' protest, none of the local stores will sell the Nintendo, which is also kind of weird that conservatives are like free market, but then also want to censor stuff. So they have to go downtown. It's the only place that's going to have a Nintendo for sale. And it's great. This, you know, they find a baseball card. They look up in the guide to see how much it costs. That's how they get their money. Keeping it at Trapper Keeper. There's a scene where, like, the kid, Jake, loses his retainer. And it's this mad dash to try and get the retainer. A lot of fun scenes. I thought the kids acting amazing. The Neil Patrick Harris thing, whatever, a little bit too much. But every time we're in the world, you know, the 1988 like Chicago suburbs with these kids during Christmas time, trying to get their hands on a Nintendo. It also talks shit about the Power Glove, which I thought was a lot of fun. The rich kid got the Power Glove, and they go to play a game. And, of course, a lot of the games in this movie aren't actual Nintendo games. I would assume because of licensing, they couldn't get Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, you know, or, like, Mario Brothers. Had some, like, the fighting game that they used to show that the Power Glove never really worked right. Was like it looked like a Mortal Kombat or a Street Fighter type of fighting game, which Nintendo didn't have any of those. They didn't have any of those where you just, you know, fought one-on-one. I don't think. I mean, maybe there was like a boxing game, but it wasn't like the design of that classic fighter game style design of like the power bars and like, anyway. So that was kind of disappointing, I guess, on a level. I'm sure it will give people a reason to, since this movie is like sold as like the Nintendo Christmas movie, even though it's, you know, not necessarily Nintendo. It's Nintendo in the movie, but the games that they show were never, as far as I know, were never real games. Maybe they're one, like when he's first playing with his daughter, Neil Patrick Harris, they're playing Paperboy. That's legit. That's like what it looked like. And then the movie, but I guess it's also a story, so, you know, whatever. Join Inspired Disorder Plus today. Head on over to inspireddisorder.com/plus to join. Membership includes members-only discounts and deals. You get access to the Ray Taylor Show completely ad-free, as well as bonus episodes. You get access to the complete live painting archive. You also get access to every single podcast ever produced by Inspired Disorder, hosted by Ray Taylor. You get access to Ray Taylor's personal blog, as well as the opportunity to ask me any questions. So if you want to start a podcast, you're into art, ask me anything. And so many more things are being added every day to Inspired Disorder Plus. So sign up today, become a member, head on over to inspireddisorder.com/plus and become an Inspired Disorder Plus member today. As far as like reasons to complain, the only other thing I would nitpick about this movie are the in-store displays where you can play the video games. Like, that didn't happen as far as I know. I mean, I didn't grow up in a big city, so maybe in places like Chicago, they had they have them everywhere now where you go into like a Walmart and they have all the different video game systems and you can play them and try them out. But like, I don't remember that ever being a thing back in the Nintendo days. Like, there was never... They didn't have that stuff on display. You couldn't play that stuff. The closest you could get was some of those games were actual, like, arcade games. So you could, like, put your money into an arcade game and play Super Mario Brothers. But they didn't have, like... Anyway, it was my only other nitpicky part of this movie. Yeah. So many... Let's see if there's anything I missed here. Yeah, I mean, it's a really fun Christmas movie. And it's all about, working to get the thing that you want, but also kind of using the opportunity as a misdirect to bond with your child. Because it shows ultimately the story of Neil Patrick Harris is that his dad did something very special for him. That actually was the beginning of them bonding, father-son bonding, was based on the gift that he gave him, which wasn't a Nintendo. And then similarly, Neil Patrick Harris is bonding with his daughter playing the old video games. So it's a fun, family, Christmassy. If they took out everything and it was just a movie with the kids... like in the 80s, trying to do whatever adventures they want to do. Like, I'm all for that. Like, if they made it into a series, it's nothing about this movie feels like it's going to have any legs past this one movie. But that aspect would have blown it out of the park. Would have been like probably an all-time classic, I think. Because those actors were great. Not just... Winslow Fegley, but all of them were fun, like very unique, very different, very characters, which I appreciate, because there's so many kids movies where it's just like they're just generic kids and they don't really, there's no real soul to, they feel very like wet blankety. And then these kids were like just hitting it out of the park, and I appreciate it. So check it out if you get a chance this Christmas. You're looking for a new Christmas movie, since it is going to be December very soon. 8-Bit Christmas on HBO Max is one I would recommend, especially if you're looking for that like family Christmas movie vibe. If you remember the days of the NES, like it's a nice little trip down memory lane, I would highly recommend it. I thought it was a lot of fun and really enjoyed it. Made me feel good. Like the nice thing about Christmas movies, especially after October where I binged horror films, Like, it's nice to have the other side of that coin where it's just like I'm going in and I know I'm going to feel like life in my heart. I'm going to feel like warmth in my soul. That's it. Check it out. 8-Bit Christmas. New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on YouTube and everywhere our podcasts are found. Binge the full week over at inspireddisorder.com/plus. Buy Ray Taylor Show merch over at inspireddisorder.com. And follow the show on Instagram at Ray Taylor Show. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!